One of the big philosophical words researchers use is ontology. But what does it mean? In this video, I will briefly explain what ontology means and why it is important in research. Ontology refers to what you think reality is. Ontological assumptions are foundational in research because they underpin all other research decisions. How you understand reality shapes what you think can be known about it, how knowledge can be generated, and what kinds of methods are appropriate. Now, when someone asks you what reality is, this might seem like a relatively simple question. But when you actually start trying to answer, this becomes complex very quickly. So how do researchers understand reality? In simple terms, researchers understand reality as lying on a spectrum between realism and relativism. Realism refers to understanding that an objective reality exists independent of whether we can perceive it. While many realists generally acknowledge that human access to reality may be limited or imperfect, they maintain that there is a single underlying reality that research seeks to describe, explain, or approximate. For realists, then, the role of research is often framed as one of discovery rather than construction. They try to represent an external reality as accurately as possible. In its most basic form, then, realists assume that reality is out there and the researcher's task is to access it as objectively as possible. Relativists, by contrast, emphasize that what is experienced as real by people is inseparable from the context through which people interpret or construct meaning, which means reality becomes multiple, context-dependent, and changing. As such, rather than assuming that a single underlying reality is out there to be discovered, relativists treat reality as something lived, negotiated, and continuously reconstructed. Research for them is less about identifying a single correct answer and more concerned with exploring how meanings are formed, sustained, and contested across contexts. One common misconception is that people who adopt a relativist ontology think that the physical world doesn't really exist. Remember that relativists don't necessarily deny the existence of the physical world outright. What they are saying is that reality in the physical world is encountered or experienced through particular social, cultural, historical, and linguistic contexts. In other words, what matters is not only that something exists physically, but how it comes to matter in different contexts and for different people. To make this distinction clearer, consider a classroom. A realist would say that the classroom environment exists as the same physical reality for all students. A relativist, on the other hand, would argue that the physical classroom is only part of the learning environment, and that elements such as power dynamics and students' prior classroom experiences would influence individual students' experiences of what the classroom actually is. So the relativist would say the learning environment is how the space is experienced differently for different students. In this way, you can think of the ontological spectrum as having an independent and objective reality on one end and a complex web of interpretations on the other. This highlights another important misconception, that you have to make a choice between being either a realist or a relativist. It is important to note that these ontologies are not binary. Remember, it is better understood as a spectrum. There is considerable variation in how reality is understood, how stable it is thought to be, and so on. As such, ontology is not about selecting between realism and relativism, choosing the correct stance, or neatly fitting yourself into a predefined category. This means that finding your ontological position is only the first step towards making your assumptions about the world visible in your research. The last misconception people have is that ontology remains constant. It is important to note that your ontological position can change over time. This can, for example, happen when you encounter new ideas or theories, have new experiences, or explore different cultures or research contexts, as these may challenge you to re-explore your taken-for-granted assumptions. So, ontology is not a settled position once you have first articulated it. It is a set of assumptions that continue to evolve alongside your work. These assumptions often operate implicitly, shaping how you interpret the world. As such, actually deciding on your ontological position is an iterative and reflective process. So in summary, ontology refers to what you think reality is. How would you describe your ontological position, and do you think this may change in 10 years' time? Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe for more research videos.